If you got the chops to follow up with it, you gotta send it right away. 990WBOB@gmail.com, and you can be the next guy on the radio.
New England's premier electrical contractor is Econ Electrical Contractors, focused on providing high-quality service and customer
satisfaction. Well, I bring that guy back for Buffalo Bills weeks, but I wouldn't bring him on for NFL preview type of things.
Econ Electrical Contractors offers competitive quotes for residential and commercial work. Call Econ Electrical Contractors 401-297-1844. Service upgrades call 401-297-1844.
Will Turbin and Demand the Truth, and his guest this week, who I have not heard of yet.
Leading the train.
No guest this week. It's just me.
Too big or too small.
It's just me, bro. I'm saving big guests for next couple weeks. You guys are gonna have to hear me.
You're not gonna see me next week. I'll be in Boston.
Nice. What you doing up there?
Going to a Red Sox game. I was there on Wednesday and it got rained out, and the makeup is Monday night. Don't know if I'll be going on Tuesday yet or if Ryan Fox is going to be hosting Psycho Sports 990
Oh, nice.
Have to communicate with Kyle on that one, but he's not here right now.
I could Fox with that. Sounds good.
Could you Fox with that?
I could. You know, would you put this behind those two just so they don't slide down? You know what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying by that? Yeah, just a little fail-safe right there. Thank you, sir.
Hey, you're out of focus in this one. No, you're not in the picture in this one.
Oh, could you fix that for me, bro? Sorry.
Demand the truth.
I don't have your face.
Alright, whatever.
Now more than ever, it's important to sift through the propaganda.
If you
to
lean
get to the
forward,
core
if
of
you
what's really
scoot
going on.
over this
Hi,
time,
I'm your host, Will Turbin, with Kevin LeBron.
like if fully turn your body, you're probably better
Like this way?
Yeah.
Action and demand the truth.
Let me get a little
Listen
bit
to us
more.
live each week and on demand here on
There you go.
990WBOB.com.
You're perfectly centered on this one. Perfect.
This is 990WBOB.com, the home of internet entertainment. From Rhode Island to the world, 990WBOB.com.
8:30 or 7:30?
WBOB.com is an independent news media company.
7:30, check for Scott. Make sure he's...
Okay. Nick Galucci says, hey.
Nice.
Gina Jin just joined.
Yes, what up, Gina?
Jeannie Renee Mills just joins.
Who did?
Jeannie Renee Mills.
and inspire action. Here is
Fans
your
out here.
host, Mr. Will Turbin.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another worldwide broadcast here on Renegade Radio. Another episode of Demand the Truth. I am your host, Will Turbit. Please follow me at Will_Turbit, TURBITT on Twitter. If you're watching the live Periscope feed, turn it down, go to 990WBOB.com, click the listen live, share that feed. We've been successful lately because people have been sharing this information. On Facebook, Will Turbit, TURBITT, YouTube /Demand the Truth. And anybody tuning in for the first time, I've dedicated my life over the last 11 years to provide factual, very well documented information that cannot be denied or debated, and I'm giving you a narrative that is not given to you by the mainstream media nor anybody else typically in the alternative media. There's some people that I like from both aspects, but I choose the stories here myself. I go through literally hundreds of news articles, and I've begun to see a pattern, and not only that, I've been covering quotes and books and papers from the Council on Foreign Relations and the Trilateral Commission since the very first episode. You can go back and check the past casts, especially episode 1 and 2. In the last couple of weeks, I've been giving you quotes from everyone from David Rockefeller, Edward Bernays, Winston Churchill, Teddy Roosevelt, everybody in between, Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., and they've all been telling you something that hasn't been told to you by the establishment, hasn't been told to you by typical education or anything like that. So I'm just trying to provide a very factual, well-documented, differing set of opinion. And if you don't like the way that I present the information, fine. Just go ahead and check out the information for yourself. See if it's true. See if it's not true. And once you find out that it actually is true, then if you don't like the way that I'm sharing this information, share it for yourself or find someone that resonates more powerfully with you to share that information. But we need to take action. That's what this show is about, demanding the truth. We need to take action now. The time to sit back and wait has passed us long ago. We're in all these illegal, unconstitutional wars. Our rights are being taken away. Right now, they're designing babies with 3 people. They're editing genetics. AI just created its own language. Elon Musk, Stephen Hawking are warning of AI taking over. North Korea is threatening war. We have military bases all over the world. And the number one story in the world is Chris Pratt and Anna Faris split up, and they're broke up. Oh my God. I woke up, I was initially devastated. I got in the fetal position for about 25 minutes, and then I really questioned if there's love in the world. No, the hell I didn't. Okay, we have Facebook AI, Facebook's artificial intelligence, created its own language. We have people that have been caught, speakers of the House, former prime ministers, trafficking children, and the whole freaking world cares about a stupid-ass celebrity couple that broke up. That's the number one thing. I mean, it'd be one thing if we weren't, like, living in such dire straits where all these radical, insane things weren't happening. But I can't believe that, you know, last week it was reported, even on the mainstream news, that they've already begun to microchip. And even that wasn't the first time. They've done that as far back as over 10, 15 years ago. They've had ABC, NBC reports about people getting microchipped. This happened a very long time ago. People have talked about this for a very long time. I've talked about this. And the sad thing is, I'm still one of the few people that's talking about this. And everybody else is talking about Chris Pratt and Anna Faris. And it's like, that's pretty shameful. I don't know. That's pretty sad. So our job here, the job of this show, the reason that I pay out of my pocket to travel to different places, to cover different events that are happening, to prove to you different things like the Bilderberg Group and the Albert Pike statue and all the things that I have coming in the next couple weeks, and I'm paying out of my pocket for this radio show, is because we're in dire straits. Otherwise, I'd just be home chilling, like watching comedy or doing, like, playing sports or out, like, I don't know, trying to get a tan. I'm really pasty right now. Like, it's a summertime. Last summer, I didn't go to the beach one time, and I promised that's the first time in my whole life. But I was doing the revolution really hard, which is good. It paid off. It got me a lot of opportunities to help spread this information. But the point is, I'm going out of my own pocket and out of my own generosity here, and I expect you guys to do the same. Like I said, if you don't like the way that I'm kicking it, fine, that's cool. But I'm gonna, throughout this show, I'm gonna show you guys things that may have been covered in the mainstream news, and a lot of these are directly from the mainstream news, but they're not driven over and over again like the Russia narrative or the weapons of mass destruction narrative or something like that. So the first one I'm going to start off with is for all my socialists out there. Now, America has one of the largest numbers of socialists, young democratic socialists growing in the world. And I've talked about this a little bit in the last couple episodes. And this is an episode from CNN. Yes, fake news CNN. I've said here on the show many times before, I've actually referred to CNN and other media outlets as fake news long before Donald Trump even ran for president in 2016. And I have a playlist which you can find on my YouTube channel, which is my personal YouTube, not my Demand the Truth, which is timestamped, and shows I've created a playlist called Fake News, and I just document mainstream news, basically making up things like everywhere from Sandy Hook, where 2 reporters, Nancy Grace and her correspondent, were in the same exact parking lot, and they thought they were pretending like they're broadcasting from elsewhere, and that's mainstream news. You can look that up. And then when you could just look up Charles Jaco in the 90s during the first Gulf War, they're faking news in front of a green screen. So I understand full well, better than most people, better than even Donald Trump, that CNN is fake news, just like every other media outlet out there, CNN combined.
Aside from us here,
aside from the Renegade Radio, and you know what's amazing is Renegade Radio has been in operation. 990WBOB.com has been in operation for over 10 years now, and it's not just a place that is completely free. The people here at this radio station never came to me and said, "Hey, Will, you have to talk about this or talk about that." I mean, they have, I won't lie, they have said, "Hey, Will, maybe don't cover child trafficking that much. Maybe leave that to other people, let that do." But that, when children are getting trafficked, and like I said, it's members of the elite, former Prime Ministers, Ted Heath, the longest running Republican Speaker of the House, Hassert, his friendship there with Podesta going back, Anthony Weiner, Laura Silsby, all these people. I mean, it's something that really affects me when children are getting trafficked. It's probably the most vicious thing that people can do. Anyways, getting back to the CNN article, even the fake stream news is saying right now, well, even the North Korean state-run media is saying right now that they're very upset about the sanctions. I'm reading from an article here. It's called "North Korea Vows to Make the U.S. Pay Dearly as Sanctions Tighten." And basically it talks about how the North Korean state-run media has said that we're going to make you all pay for the sanctions. And basically we're taking away things like iron and seafood and coal, which are their primary exports, and making sanctions against that and making it even tougher. And all that is doing is rattling North Korea's cage even more. And they're just going to be more provocative towards us. They're just going to get more upset. They're just going to indoctrinate their kids with more anti-American propaganda. And that's feeding right into the military-industrial complex's hands. And I typically tend to agree with Ron Paul on a lot of things. And this one I agree again. Sanctions, military action, great. Why don't you just sit down and talk with these people and figure out if you can't do some type of compromise that's going to avoid bloodshed? Or say, hey, look, you give your people some more freedoms, you open up things a little bit more, we'll give you a little bit more in trade. Before you start murdering people, you should at least sit down and talk to them once, not Dennis Rodman, okay? Send real people over there. Let me go talk to this dude, Let me go to the Middle East and talk to these people. But no, it's run by a bunch of corrupt corporate elitists, and they want this. The military-industrial complex figures that the American public and the English public will not buy a war with Syria, and we shot that down thanks to the alternative media in 2013. But they think, hey, most Americans, whether you're right or left, you don't like North Korea and what this guy's saying, and they've been rattling our cage for such a long time. Since birth, they've been taught to hate America, and they're probably the, if not one of three, most oppressive regimes in the entire face of the earth. And those people are under desperate oppression and tyranny. So the military-industrial complex is like, hey, why don't we try to go in there? But it's probably still not the best idea. And then here's an article right here. Let's see, that actually got deleted by accident. But this is an article from Saudi Arabia, from the Middle East Eye. It says Saudi Arabia defends decision to execute 14 Shia activists. And basically Saudi Arabia, who I've mentioned here on the show before, was heading up the Human Rights Council in the United Nations, which just shows how laughable the United Nations is. This is a country that executes and beheads women for driving, pushes gay people off buildings, stones people to death. They broke their own record for beheadings. Just recently, there was a girl who was wearing a skirt, and she was touring some of these famous historic relics, and she was arrested for wearing a skirt. So these people are the head of the human rights place there in the United Nations, but yet they're executing people that were protesting against and just having free speech and speaking out against corruption. And they were protesting, and now they're put to death. Some of these people are even teenagers. So why do I say that? I say that because here in America, we still have freedom of speech. Not much. In some countries, that we still have freedom of speech. And what does that mean? That means that we have the right to speak out for people that can't even speak out for themselves. In places like Saudi Arabia, in places like North Korea, if you speak out, you will get killed. You will die. This is happening right now. The people that run the Human Rights Council for the United Nations are sentencing people exercising free speech to death. And this is another example, like I was talking about last week, about how places like North Korea, Venezuela are just socialist places that all these people think socialism, the democratic socialism can work. There's nothing blocking that. There's nothing blocking from socialism. There's not checks and balances in socialism that stop people from, like Nicolas Maduro or Kim Jong-il or Kim Jong-un or Stalin or Hitler or Pol Pot or Mol or Fidel Castro from getting in. So we need to speak up for those that can't speak up. We will be right back. We're going to be covering more articles after the break. 990WBOB.com. Demand the truth.
Give a listen to the Rotunda on 990WBOB.com.
Yeah, you bowl pretty well. I would have to agree.
Yeah, buy him a drink to lose a circle.
You'll find information here that you just don't get anywhere else.
Could we go on record with you saying that, sir?
I'm Scott Rotunda, and I deliver my own unique style of shoot from the lip, anger both sides of the aisle analysis that will keep you coming back for more.
How is this guy? I don't even know who this guy is.
Name one stat that I have made up.
We're in the imaginary universe.
The action is only heard here, live and on demand on 990WBOB.com.
That's right, and live.
Here in Rhode Island, we were built on independence, and at the Rhode Island Brewers Guild, we pride ourselves in that spirit. We are 13 small breweries. We're workers, farmers, we're your neighbors, in every corner of Rhode Island. Handcrafting our beers with big flavors from the best ingredients, keeping quality as our #1 priority. Because we care about you and Rhode Island. Let's grow our community together. Drink local. Drink Rhode Island. Great beer is right here.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff. But still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed. And they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs. And it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth partying with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
New England's premier electrical contractor is Econ Electrical Contractors, focused on providing high-quality service and customer satisfaction. We will do everything we can to meet your expectations. Licensed and insured in all of New England, Econ Electrical Contractors offers competitive quotes for residential and commercial work. Call Econ Electrical Contractors, 401-297-1844. For service upgrades, call 401-297-1844. For pools, spas, PV modules, and more, call 401-297-1844.
Jim Stalling shared your shows on my wall should bring you some viewers. Nicolucci, no money and peace, brother. Good job, friends.
Thank you guys for that love. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it, Jim. You're the man.
If you want me to pass your phone, so you can scroll up and read all the comments.
I don't, because it's a precarious position right now. Last time I did that, the Twitter feed ended 7 minutes through and it ruined everything. I gotta figure out a better way to...
You could probably pull it up on your computer too,
Yeah,
and read the comments there.
that's true. Yeah,
Maybe.
I have a lot of them open. Alright, welcome back from break. Renegade Radio. Demand the truth. I'm your host, Will Turbit. Follow me at Twitter at Will_Turbit, TURBITT. Facebook, Will Turbit. / on YouTube, Demand the Truth. If you're watching on Facebook Live or on Periscope, please tune into 990WBOB.com and share that link. And I'm going to take you guys back in time to the first 2 episodes of Demand the Truth. Don't believe me. Don't take my word for it. Go to the past cast. Go to 990WBOB.com. Go to Demand the Truth. Go to Will Turbit on the back and check out the past cast. Go to the first and second episodes. And I'm going to take you guys back in time because as I covered there, and there's 2 books that I have in my house and I quote from them heavily. They are by Carol Quigley, who is a Georgetown, Princeton, and Harvard historian. He was a mentor to Bill Clinton, and he wrote 2 books, Anglo-American Establishment and Tragedy and Hope. And in his book, he discussed how in the late 1800s, a guy named Cecil Rhodes, and even Zimbabwe was named Rhodesia before it was named Zimbabwe. Cecil Rhodes was a major prominent player behind the British Crown before the turn of the century, in the 1800s turn of the century. And he was a major player. He instigated the First and Second Boer Wars, and he worked with people like the Rothschild Group. And in the Anglo-American Establishment, again written by Carol Quigley, a very highly esteemed person who reproduces the original documents of these people in this book. I believe it's either page 3, 5, or 7. I can't recall off the top of my head. You guys can look it up for free online, of the Anglo-American Establishment, where Carol Quigley duplicates a copy of Lord Rothschild's will, in which he sets up an establishment and establishes a secret society which would create a one-world government under Britain, which would recapture the United States. And one of the ways they planned on doing that was controlling the media. And like I said before the break, I've been talking about fake news before Donald Trump even ran for president. This is something that's been happening, and this is also including the alternative media for a very long time. So Carol Quigley, Harvard, Princeton, and Georgetown historian and professor and mentor to Bill Clinton, basically writes in these books about how Rockefeller, Rothschild, Cecil Rhodes, Lord Milner, and all these guys get together, and at first, in the late 1800s, they took control of all the newspapers. So The Economist, The Times, and the other major large British newspaper of the time, which its name escapes me, they put their people as charge of editors. And then, even one of this group's members was Rudyard Kipling, who wrote children's books. And the Encyclopedia Britannica was controlled and actually created by them. They actually created the Encyclopedia Britannica, and they put their heads as either the deans or the presidents of the 3 most influential schools of England, Oxford, All Souls, and Balliol. So if you read a children's book, it was controlled by this elite who said that they want to take over the world. If you read a book in school, it was controlled by the 3 most powerful people in Oxford, All Souls, and Balliol. If you read something in the newspaper, it was controlled by these people. And if you read something out of the encyclopedia, it was controlled by these people. And I have shown on this show before how there has been a linear, straight, unbroken line that has been control of media from then till today. Then it jumps across the pond, and then it was entered into the congressional record that J.P. Morgan was asked what percentage of the American newspapers he would have to purchase to control what Americans thought of daily. The answer was 25 to 33%, and then he did that. And then, like I've covered on the show, and I've read at least twice, Dave Rockefeller's autobiography memoirs, which came out in 2002. I've quoted from that many, many times because it's out of the own dude's mouth. He's just admitting it. He talks about when he was in the Army and he met William Paley, who was the head of the psychological warfare department that would go on to create CBS. And at that time, there were only 3 corporations. Now you have thousands and thousands and thousands of channels, but they're only run by 6 or 5 corporations. It fluctuates. But it's still, they'll give you all the choices in the world, but they're not giving you any truth. So I've been showing, and I've went into even more detail throughout the course of these shows. And like I said, just go to the past cast and check out what I've been saying for this whole time and see if you disagree with me. Another thing I want to mention here, anybody watching on Facebook Live, anybody watching on Periscope, anybody listening live, make sure you're listening live on 990WBOB.com. Again, I'm your host, Will Turber, here on Demand the Truth, Renegade Radio. If you disagree with me, if there's something that you don't believe, I've even before I have this radio show, I've had a long, outstanding, running threat, promise, welcoming, anything that any way you want to take it, a debate. Anybody that wants to debate me on anything, come and have it. I've had this outstanding for so many years. Only one person has taken me up on it, and they got owned about 9/11. So if anybody's out there, there's so many people that disagree with me, but they're scared to debate me and have some ideas. This is Tyler Salk from Psycho Sports' show. Immediately comes on right before us here at 990.
If you would like to engage Will in a debate, you could call into our hotline at 401-626-4665. That's 401-626-4665 to take on the Mr. Will Turbin.
Yeah, if you disagree, call me up right now. Like I said, there's been a long stream proving that the media has been controlled by a technocratic elite for a long time. We're going to break right now. Before we do, I'm just going to cover emails show Washington Post, New York reporters didn't want to cover Clinton Lynch tarmac meeting. We're going to come back with that article. Stay tuned here and Demand the Truth.
But by the end of the show, we hate our own opinion.
Yeah, we hate our own opinion worse than anybody else's. We're an equal opportunity hate. 990WBOB.com. Derelict Dummies, Mondays at 9.
Michael Anderson says greetings.
Mr. Anderson is the man. He's a soldier out there in the streets. Man, Mr. Anderson's out there fighting these guys, spreading the information. He's a good dude.
Give Will that shout out. You might just get one on the air. I got you, bro. I got you.
Good looks, Mr. Sark.
Conveniently located at 391 Metacom Avenue.
Let me ask you, Mr. Sark. Do you think it was because Peyton Manning was old or because he had the neck industry that he fell off?
Well, I think it was a little bit of both, honestly. Because if you look at it, Peyton had the neck injury in 2012, 2013, 2014, actually it was 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, he was great. In fact,
He was good when he came back from the neck industry?
He won a Super Bowl.
Really? I didn't know that. That's because I haven't watched sports since 2008, so I hadn't known that.
That's right, he lost the Super Bowl.
That's a crazy thing to come back from a broken neck.
The morals of the Denver defense.
Nice catch, Alex.
But still, though, he was good in Denver. His last year, he sucked. His last year, he was awful.
But he came back and won a Super Bowl after like a messed up neck.
Yes, and
That's impressive.
And when you also look at it, he threw for 5,400 freaking yards.
I give anybody credit for wanting to play again after your neck gets messed up.
And
because
Fox, we're not just talking
I
about
would've
his
just been
last
chilling.
season. We're talking about after the neck injury, when he came from Indianapolis to Denver. He was great. He was that same old Peyton
What's your
Manning.
take on Kaepernick?
Hate him.
You hate him?
Hate him. I mean, either way, I'm not a fan of running quarterbacks. I like
No, I mean about him
I
kneeling.
know, but I'm saying, so I've never been a fan of his because he gets the media hype and he's never been that
Ray
good.
Lewis at number
Whoa,
12.
I can't. What?
His girlfriend called Ray Lewis at number 12.
Well, didn't Ray Lewis when I used to watch sports, I grew up in Maryland, so I used to love the Ravens.
Where?
Laurel, Maryland. It's actually coincidentally where the NSA is located.
I have family outside of Baltimore. It's how
Yeah.
Pleasant Roisterstown.
Oh yeah, okay, that's not too far.
You know it.
I'm going back down there soon, down to Maryland, D.C., do some more investigating.
Yeah.
And we are back here on Demand the Truth. I was just talking on break with Ryan Fox and Tyler Salk of Psycho Sports. The show comes on right before me. We were talking about a bunch of crazy stuff. One of them was that I am going to be heading. Tyler also has family growing up in Maryland. I grew up myself in Maryland, actually coincidentally in Laurel, Maryland, which is where the NSA is housed. And
I'm happy you don't have the accent, Will.
No, yeah, I don't.
I got Baltimore O.
No, but I will yell "oh" at the during the.
I know
No,
exactly.
I
what
won't do
you're
that.
saying.
I'll Kaepernick. No, just kidding. I don't know. We're talking during the break about Kaepernick, and who knows? Maybe I'll, if I have time here, I'll pick Tyler's brain about what he thinks about Kaepernick. Anybody that knows me knows that I used to be a big sports fan until about 2008. I read a book called "The Fix Is In," and it kind of opened my mind to a whole different opinion about how things were gone and done, and it went down the rabbit hole. Either way, I'll be returning down to the DC, Maryland area to do some investigations, to continue some of the investigations I started about a number of things. I'm not going to choreograph my moves or necessarily what I'm going to investigate down there, or where or when I will specifically be down there, just because I don't want to tip anybody off. But in the next couple of months, you guys follow me on Facebook and Twitter.
Follow him in person. Give Will a stalker.
Follow me in person so I can hit you with the judo chop. No, don't do that. I'm all peaceful. Don't follow me in person. Leave me the hell alone. Let me do my thing. Let me investigate this stuff. Let me try to save the children's and help me out, okay? Anyways, I was talking about before the break about how the media has been controlled since the late 1800s by a rich technocratic eugenicist elite, and that's out of their own words. And this is from the Washington Free Beacon, freebeacon.com. The headline is, email show Washington Post, New York Times reporters didn't want to cover Clinton-Lynn tarmac meeting. And that's when Bill Clinton met Loretta Lynch, basically illegally or at least inappropriately, to discuss an open case that was going on. And these newly released emails show reporters telling the Obama Department of Justice that they were unenthusiastic about covering the tarmac meeting between former President Bill Clinton and then Attorney General Loretta Lynch during the 2016 campaign. Clinton and Lynch met privately aboard Lynch's plane at a Phoenix airport in June 2016. Critics charged the meeting was inappropriate, given that Lynch's Department of Justice was actively investigating Hillary Clinton for use of an unsecured private email server during her tenure as Secretary of State. And basically, throughout this article, which I'm not going to read the whole darn thing because I'm going to challenge you to go and read it. Like I said, it's from the Washington Free Beacon. Email show Washington Post, New York Times reporters didn't want to cover Clinton-Lynch tarmac meeting. And I just wanted to point it out because it's illustrative of everything that I've talked about here. And it goes back to what I said going from the WikiLeaks about how Council on Foreign Relations has head up the AOL, Time Warner, Disney, all these other mergers. Although we have thousands of channels, they're only run by 6 corporations. Some of these corporations, like General Electric, formerly run by the Rockefellers, located at 30 Rockefeller Plaza, and other people that control the Psychological Warfare Department, and other people who have openly written, like Edward Bernays, says that the conscious manipulation of societal thoughts and habits is a must. This is an unbroken line of media control, and it's not just media control, it's to lie and abuse to you and to mislead you into doing the wrong thing. And that's pitiful, and these people are bullies, and we need to stand up to these bullies. And like I said, this has gotten to the point where the media, you don't even have to, and people come up to me, or even people in my life, my friends and family, like, oh, everybody would have to know about this conspiracy for that to be true. Well, first of all, the Manhattan Project was a conspiracy which involved hundreds of thousands of people, and nobody spoke. This conspiracy involves less people, and guess what? These people, you don't even have to tell these people anymore. These people are themselves knowing, oh, we should probably not talk about that. We shouldn't probably talk. We should, this looks really bad, so we're not going to talk about this. The media, the people that are supposed to be the oversight over our leaders, to make sure that they're in check, to make sure that they're not being corrupt, to make sure that they're doing the right thing, and that they're upholding their oaths to the Constitution. And what are they doing instead? They're placating and covering up for the crimes of people that are creating wars, trafficking children, and taking your rights away. So screw those people. Why the hell y'all still listen to them? And that's the thing. Every time that you guys watch mainstream news, y'all are giving them ratings, and you're giving them a little more life. You're injecting with a little more life. So what I'm saying is, judge a tree by its fruits. Right now, I have never told you guys a lie. I've never quoted anything that was a not real quote. I've never pulled up an article or a quote or a part from somebody's book that wasn't 100% real and documented. And if you think I have, call me 401-626-4665 and say that I have, and call me out, but I haven't. If anybody disagrees with me, 401-626-4665. But I've been telling the truth this whole time, and now the media themselves are lying for the politicians. So that's terrible. And now there's something, I'm going to switch gears to something that I've talked about for a long time, privately, but I've never said on air, and I want to say it on air right now because I've said this to my friends and my family. I've spoken about this on both sides of my family. A lot of my friends, I told my grandmas this. We may be living in the last truly human generation ever. I'm going to say that like at least 2 more times. We may be living in the last truly human generation ever. Why do I say that? I'm going to read, I have a smattering of articles here, and I'm just going to read a few of them, or at least parts of a few of them, so you guys understand what's going on. In the past couple weeks, I warned, well, not just me, Elon Musk, Stephen Hawking, and the people that run up Apple, we're all talking about the dangers of artificial intelligence and saying that we have to do something proactive instead of reactive. Then when you combine that with what I'm about to say, because AI itself, even if you could figure out a way to make AI perfect and benevolent and it wouldn't create its own, like Facebook just had its own chatbots, created their own AI language that humans couldn't understand. So even if AI itself is benevolent, there's still bad people out there like Hitler and Nicolas Maduro and the people that run Saudi Arabia and the people that traffic these children, create wars, that would love to get their hands on artificial intelligence. But now it's taking a step further. And when I woke up today, I was looking at a video that had about 4 or 5 million views online, and it was talking about the world in 2030 and 2040. And it was a very sad thing to look at. And I don't know if it was predictive programming or what, but I'm going to cover a couple articles that are talking about it's probably coming sooner than 2030 and 2040. I'm going to start right now with an article from Wired.com. The name of the article is Veritas Genetics Scoops Up an AI Company to Sort Out Its DNA. Veritas Genetics scoops up an AI company to sort out its DNA. Genes carry the information that make you, you. So it's fitting that when sequenced and stored in a computer, your genome takes up gobs of memory, up to 150 gigabytes. Multiply that across the people who have gotten sequenced, and you're looking at some serious storage issues. If that's not enough, mining those genomes for useful insight means comparing them all to each other, to medical histories, and to the millions of scientific papers about genetics. Sorting all of that out is a perfect task for artificial intelligence, and plenty of AI startups have bent their efforts in that direction. On August 3rd, sequencing company Veritas Genetics bought one of the most influential, 7-year-old Curoverse. Veritas thinks AI will help interpret genetic risk of certain diseases and scour the ever-growing databases of genomic, medical, and scientific research. In a step forward, the company also hopes to use things like natural language processing and deep learning to help customers query their genetic data on demand. Now they're talking about, oh wow, isn't this great that pretty soon we'll have a genetic database of everybody, and artificial intelligence will sort through it to make sure that you're safe. Or there's the other side of things, that the government has a genetic database about your DNA, and they have artificial intelligence rummaging through it. Like I said before, we are living in the last truly human generation, perhaps of all time, unless you guys do something about this. I'm doing my part. I need you guys to share this, share the video, share the 990wbob.com, click listen live link. I need you guys to share this information. If you hate the way I spread this information, I need you guys to find somebody else or spread it yourself. Literally, it's not me. It's Elon Musk, people that I don't agree with, Stephen Hawking's, the heads of Apple, even these people who I typically disagree with 9 out of 10 times are saying we need to get a leash on AI before it has a leash on us. But these other people here, and I'm going to go on to 3 or 4 other stories, are talking about, no, we need to have artificial intelligence sift through our DNA in a genetic database controlled by the government. What the hell is going on? I can't believe I'm speaking about this. I cannot believe this. This is crazy. If anybody would have told me that in 2017 I'd have a smartphone, if everybody would have told me this when I was a kid, that in 2017 I'd have a smartphone that would have the sum of human imagination in my fingertips, there would be 70-something genders, people would be considering if the earth is flat or not, and there would be genetic splicing and 3 people having babies, creating designer babies, and artificial intelligence creating its own language, and then it wants to run our DNA through a government-run DNA genetic database. What the hell is going on? I can't believe I'm saying this. What? This is ridiculous. I'm literally saying this. And it's so funny because we grew up off of Terminator and The Matrix, and now that's happening. Now that's happening, and it's not even me. I don't wear a tinfoil hat. I'm just a regular dude that works. I have a family. I got friends, and I live my life. And I have to spend my time saying, "Holy crap!" Not just me, the leaders of this world are saying, "Yeah, artificial intelligence is getting out of control." Yet there's some other people that say, "Yes, why don't we have artificial intelligence in control of our DNA?" This is another article. This from CNN. This is FDA warns, quote, 3-parent baby fertility doctor over marketing. And we have a doctor here who's marketing babies of 3 parents. And like I said, in a couple years, they're going to say, oh my God, my baby would look so cute with gray eyes and maybe like platinum blonde hair like the celebrities. And they'll be like, oh, I want my baby to have 4 genders. I want my baby to be a drama queen, transgender. People will be picking out, and there won't even be male and female anymore. It'll be like 3 guys getting together having a baby. And this is the crazy part about it. Men and women will no longer make love. I didn't even want to report about this, but this is actually happening. Like I say, I go through literally, right hand to God, 3, probably hundreds, if not several hundred articles a day. There were multiple articles today about sex robots. So pretty soon, there's going to be like four guys. They're going to pick out their own baby. They're going to be banging sex robots. And there's going to be no men. There's going to be no women. There's going to be no cuddling.
Check out Will Turbitt's piece on sex robots on the 990wbob.com reads page.
Yes, it's an in-depth report on the life of Tyler Salk and what he's doing to these sex robots. It's very disgusting. Some of these things haven't even been approved by the FDA, but he's going full throttle. Much respect to him. He's a man of science, but I don't think that we should be living in a world where people are having sex robots and...
Don't touch your wiener!
Whoa, I'm not touching my wiener. My hands are above the counter here. If anybody's watching me live, don't touch your wiener. Literally, guys, people are having babies. People are trying to have 3 people babies. They don't want, what the hell's going on? They don't want you to touch your wiener. They don't want a girl to touch your wiener. They don't want you to have a family. They don't want you to cuddle and have a family and find a girl that you love and raise kids. They want 4 people to have a baby, and they want it to be identified as a dog. Here's another article from Nerdist. This is landmark CRISPR breakthrough makes us ask, how realistic are designer babies? And right now, CRISPR, it is a biological tool for genetic engineering, recently allowed scientists to remove a malfunctioning gene from a human embryo in a landmark procedure. Now, what that's going to allow people to do is to pick and choose certain genes. And one of the things that this goes to is, it sounds cute, like, oh my God, I can pick out whatever baby, and guess what? Oh, maybe it won't have any diseases, and maybe we can have this or that. You know who else had that idea? Hitler! Hitler had that idea. Hitler wanted to wipe people off the face of the earth. Hitler thought that certain people shouldn't breed. Hitler wanted to select genetics. That is what the hell is going on. These people are eugenicists. Anybody that hasn't seen, especially for my black people that are listening and the minorities, watch MAFA 21. MAAFA 21. I've had the guy that did the documentary on this show for a whole hour. He's had Martin Luther King's niece and several other prominent black leaders on, and they talk about how basically Planned Parenthood and eugenics is nothing more than a plan to destroy the black person. It's horrible, it's so messed up, and now they want to take it a step further and not just destroy black people, but they want to destroy anybody that isn't perfect. It's so bizarre. It's this crazy stuff that's going on. And here's an article from The Guardian that goes exactly what I'm saying. I can't believe this is like I said, I can't believe the stuff that I'm having to read on air. I can't believe that I'm reading this in 2017. Eugenics And for anybody that doesn't know, eugenics was a washed up part of psychology that said certain people shouldn't breed and we should sterilize those people. You ever heard of the words moron or the words idiot? Those words came from eugenics, and they thought they ranked people on intelligence. Thought you black people, yeah, you guys are too stupid to breed. You Native Americans, yeah, you're too stupid. Hey, you stupid white people out in the mountains, you're too stupid to have kids. But overwhelmingly, it was black people. Overwhelmingly, they wanted black people to die, and it's messed up. And now I'm gonna go on the other side of the break and talk about it. I'm gonna tease this. Eugenics was something that was washed up 100 years ago, and now I'm forced to read an article from The Guardian. Editing the human genome brings us one step closer to consumer eugenics. That means we're having eugenics going on right now. You're listening to Renegade Radio, Demand the Truth, 990WBOB.com. Check me out at Twitter at Will_Turbit, TURBITT. Facebook, Will Turbit. YouTube /Demand the Truth. And if you're watching on Periscope or Facebook Live, tune into 990WBOB on the Click Listen Live, the live cast, and please, please, please spread this video, spread this cast, spread this information. I will see you on the other side of the break. Thank you so much, and God bless.
Two things. First of all, Dawn Reed says, hello everyone, you got it, Will.
Dawn Reed is awesome. Dawn Reed always supports me. I've never met Dawn Reed in real life, but thank you so much for the support. It's people like you that are working tirelessly, that are going to work together with people like me and everybody else out there to get this truth out, because we cannot sit here any longer when they're saying editing the human genome brings us one step closer to human eugenics.
Second of all, I would watch the word choice. My black people who are listening.
Whatever. I'm not politically correct.
No, I know.
Whatever.
I know.
And even African Americans is a made up, contrived politically.
No,
thing made by the left.
I'm saying my black people.
Anybody that's my friend, that's a black person.
No, dude.
I have listeners right now in Pakistan. Thank you to all the people out there in Pakistan. Shout outs to Rehan Alawala, who's been on the show, TED Talk. I got people in Singapore. I got people in Providence, in the hood. I got white boys in Coventry, in East Greenwich watching this. People all over the world, in Florida. So shout outs to everybody out there. I don't care what race you are. I don't care what gender you identify as. If you identify as trans, blind. The only thing I don't mess with is if you identify as trans age and you want to start dating little people, because that is a real thing that's actually online where people want to be trans age and date younger people. I do not. That's the only thing. You can be anything besides that. You can identify as a dog. I was actually thinking, swear to God, I should identify as a Civil War veteran from the Union and be able to go back to school and start my education again. And when I start over again in 3rd grade, when they don't allow me, I will sue them because I'm a veteran and I serve this country. I fought to end slavery, so how dare you call me out?
But you see me laughing. I don't care. I just don't want you to lose people.
No, people trust me. I've been losing people my whole life. You know what I'm saying? But no, I appreciate the left. Trust me. I've been losing people left and right, but I don't care. I'll say what's true, what's unpopular, no matter what. Anybody listening?
Joe Orga says, "What do you mean, white people?"
White people, Caucasoids. See, that's the thing. That's the whole thing about the media. They want to divide and conquer. My whole life, growing up, racial tensions were better. Last 5 years, the media wants us against each other, black versus white. Everything is terrible. Hey, can you hit that red button, bro? And we are back. Final segment of Demand the Truth. And it's crazy. We're talking about how editing the human genome brings us one step closer to consumer eugenics and how people will be designing and picking out their babies. The scary part about that, as even I've warned before, even people like Elon Musk, who I'm skeptical of, has talking about how this is something that Hitler wanted to do, make enhancements and make people perfect and take out the bad parts of people. I was talking about before the break a very powerful documentary, Mafa 21, about how the U.S. government and Planned Parenthood and eugenicists have actively sought to destroy the black community. It's a terrible, terrible thing. The people that have it most oppressed in this world are Native Americans still to this day, African Americans, people, and I have white people complain to me too and say, "Oh, African Americans, get over it. They had their thing. They had no." The African Americans are still under some of the most messed up stuff that's going on, including police abuse. Yes, there's more white people that get killed by cops, but if you look at the areas where it's going on, it's basically, obviously there's less black people than white people, so if you look at it like that, there is a culture of things. Even just on the way here, I witnessed racism. I myself, growing up, I was one of basically the only white friend out of all the people growing up. I went to Mount Pleasant High School in Providence, Rhode Island, which is a majority minority high school. Everybody I grew up with, I've witnessed racism firsthand, so I've seen it all. And on top of that, I've witnessed the CIA take over hip-hop culture on record. There's people like Rick Ross, there's documentaries on BET by Byron Hurt, there's PBS, even people from 106 and Park talk about how hip-hop culture was taking over and weaponized to destroy what was really something really dope. And part of the reason I'm here to this day is because of hip-hop music. My intro music is Rashad and Confidence, Casualties of War, and it's talking about exactly what I'm talking about. Hip-hop music, people like Public Enemy, Wu-Tang Clan, Cannabis, people that fought against the system, dead presidents, people like that, basically were people that were picking up where Martin and Malcolm left off, and it's really messed up. And like I said, so the Native Americans, the black people, the people of North Korea, the women under certain sects of Islam, the children that are getting trafficked, these are the people that have it worse. And now, with eugenicists and eugenics coming back to life over 100 years later after it's been decredited by mainstream psychology, they want to genetically alter humans and they want to destroy us. Now, in the sake of time, I unfortunately have way too many articles to get to and then it's unfortunate that I only have one segment to cover them all, but I'm going to cover this one. And mainstream news is finally catching up where I left off over 11 years ago. This is an article from Bloomberg.com. Doesn't get any more mainstream than Bloomberg.com. Here's the headline. Don't take my word for it. Maybe central banks are too independent. Subheadline, Congress might want to consider placing limits on the Fed. I literally laughed out loud when I read this article this morning. And basically, I'm going to read through this really quickly. Throughout the developed world, central banks enjoy a large measure of independence. This is considered desirable because it guards against elected officials' preference for overly easy monetary policy as it means to generating jobs and growth. So what they just said was a lie to you right there in the first paragraph. It's saying, oh, they'd rather have central banks print money because, it would guard against elected officials for having, for talking about monetary policy for generating jobs and votes. Well, wouldn't it be a good idea if Congress had the right to print and value money like it says in the Constitution? Because then if they didn't do a good job, we could vote them out like we should, because they wouldn't do a good job with monetary policy and they wouldn't generate jobs and votes, so we could vote them out. But guess who we can't vote out? The private Federal Reserve, which is unelected and has never been audited in over 100 years. The people that print our money out of thin air with inflation. So before it used to be the U.S. Congress and the Treasury would say, hey, we need $1. And the Congress would say, here's a dollar. But now, instead of getting it directly from Congress, it comes from the Federal Reserve, so it's not just $1, it's $1.01, and that 1 cent accumulated over time and time and time and time, and out of control spending and financing of ISIS and the Taliban and all these terrorists, and the financing of socialism and communism, and even Hitler in the United States has made us broke over $21 trillion in debt. So these people have been printing money out of thin air, and now they say central banks are too independent. And they're saying, it would probably be better that, it's better that central banks have it because otherwise elected officials would do that. Not elected officials so you could vote in and out every 2 years. No, we'd rather have a shadow, privately created Federal Reserve bank created on record by the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, and J.P. Morgan. And these people openly write in their books and quotes, which I've covered dozens of times here on the show, that they want to rob you and rape you. like they openly say it, read any of these books, and then this guy goes on in this article in another paragraph, and he goes, still, this is something wrong with this picture. It has to do with something with the governance of central bank policy. Congress has given the Fed, a group of unelected technocrats, the power to pursue a more pro-inflation and pro-growth policy than the public elected representatives desire. What is the justification? And basically he's admitting that the Fed is a group of unelected technocrats. Technocrats are a scientific, technological elite. Who are scientific technological elites? People that are eugenicists. The people that I'm just talking about. That's why I'm saying this group, these individuals with this ideology and this mindset pervades every spectrum of what you call life. You can't just ignore this crap. This goes to everything. Every single time you make a transaction in real life or digital life, you're dealing with these people one way or another. Whether it's genetic altering or the printing of your money or the entertainment or the media or whether it's schooling or whether it's tax for gas or whether you're taking a red light and they got cameras everywhere, you're dealing with these people. And these people, and this guy that writes this, actually used to be a technocrat himself, and he admits it in the article, is saying, like I said, for over 11 years, and my brother called me crazy, my family called me crazy, my friends called me crazy, everybody called me crazy, but guess what? A group of unelected technocrats is the Federal Reserve. I said that crap 11 years ago, and people called me crazy, but guess what? More and more on the show, it seems like every week I have to celebrate because, oh, guess what? Oh, yeah, MIT and the former head of the CIA admit chemtrails are real. Oh, and guess what? GMOs are bad. Oh, and guess what? Harvard proves that fluoride is bad for you. Oh, and guess what? Seymour Hersh 9/11 was an inside job. Oh, and guess what? Maybe the central banks are too independent. Oh, and maybe we did lose those wars. And maybe those people that Will said were pedophiles back in the day actually did get locked up and actually were pedophiles. So maybe it's time to stop listening to the people that continually lie to you, and maybe it's start time to listen to me and listen to the information at bare minimum. Don't necessarily listen to me, and don't take my word for it. Question every single thing I say, and live, and while I'm reading it, go look it up for yourself and see if I'm telling the truth or not. And this is Tyler Salk jumping in from Psycho Sports.
What you should do is demand the truth.
You should. You shouldn't just sit back and take it from me or the mainstream news. I have given you guys dozens of examples today of reasons to take action. The world right now is talking about Chris Pratt and Anna Faris breaking up when AI has created its own language. Artificial intelligence is creating a genetic DNA database. Women and children are getting trafficked. There's illegal and unconstitutional wars all over the world. And Chris Pratt broke up with his girlfriend. Terrible, terrible, corny, corny, corny. So corny, so sad. People wake up. People, please share this information. I'm going to be traveling soon. If you guys have any information about anything I should investigate, any tips going down to the DC, Virginia, Maryland area, please follow me and comment at Will_Turbit, TURBITT on Twitter, Facebook Will Turbit, YouTube /Demand the Truth, and as always, check out the past cast on 990WBOB.com. And then also after this, Scott Rotundo on the Rotunda immediately after this show. It's crazy, man. We're living in a crazy, crazy world. I can't believe I'm telling you right now that they're altering genes. Artificial intelligence is creating their own language, which we cannot understand. There are quantum computers. People are taking microchips. North Korea wants to nuke us, and the military-industrial complex is salivating. Tune in next Monday, as I will be live, as I always am, Monday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern. Check out the Pastcast, 990WBOB.com. As always, I'm your host, Will Turbit, and I will see you next Monday. Demand the Mother Hubbard truth.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Oh,
I wish you could drop the F-bomb on that one, because that would be...
I gotta work it out with Fox so I can get some beeps. Some beeps going, some bleeps. We're gonna do that.
As cool as Fox, but, you know. You gotta comment before you close it out.
True.